I thought one of the biggest mistakes of recent was Coinbase litigating the SEC. Really bad idea. That does not advance the industry in any way. It makes institutional shareholders cringe that they would be shareholders in Coinbase and be litigating their regulator. It's dead to institutional investors. I speak to sovereign wealth and pension a lot, and they will not touch crypto until there's regulations. So for all the excitement, Bitcoin is locked in purgatory to set a trade 17 to 35,000 for a long, long time, because it's basically the same people trading it back and forth. All the bills around Bitcoin and NFTs are all stalled out.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day. Feels like it's been an eternity since I made this update. And you can see right here, obviously, Bitcoin is still just bouncing around in the same range. Now, we know that the FOMC is meeting today, and I'll give my opinion on that. Maybe it's already happened at this point. We might have seen it reflected in the chart, but I do think it's going to have less and less of an impact as it continues forward with these meetings. But why has Bitcoin stalled out? Now, there is some theories out there that say, well, it could simply be because of all of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's going on right now in the US, that institutions and these big players are simply not interested. Maybe that's why we're seeing meme coins pump, right? Because that's more of a retail thing, pumping Pepe and pumping Pizza and all these other ones, right? So talking about, we know that we had the collapse of the First Republic Bank. Now, you've probably heard about that. JP Morgan kind of bailed them out and all this other stuff. But I'm going to let you know that it could be a lot worse than they're letting it off to be. And it's probably not even why you think, because the media definitely has a way of twisting these stories. And of course, you know, you have Kevin O'Leary, sort of reiterating the same thing that we had Chamath coming out saying that crypto is dead in America. Is crypto actually truly dead in America? Well, I'm going to chime in on that. We're going to play some more from this clip and dive a little bit deeper into that as well. And also, just to let you guys know, they have come out officially and said that regulation in the US is coming, and it could be coming as soon as the next 2 months. So we're going to talk about all that today. I'll also discuss what's going on in the charts right here. So let's dive in without further ado. And of course, guys, remember 15 days. We do have BTC Miami. If you haven't got your tickets, I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Come hang out with me and everyone else. It's going to be an awesome time. I do hope to see you there. So without further ado, let's dive in. So again, we did have this falling wedge breakout. We had a double test right here, and currently we're basically stalled out exactly where we thought we would be at the previous support, which is now acting as resistance. Now, I just want to point out, again, we have been saying this for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're on our 7th week now that we keep getting support on this EMA ribbon at the 89. And you could see right here, when the ribbon switches, right, when it twists and you have the yellow moving below the red, the ribbon literally twists, that's when we are officially entering into that bearish territory. Well, if we zoom in right now, not only are we having support here, but you can also see that the yellow is starting to move above the red, meaning that the ribbon is starting to twist the other way. Now, I understand that it's very hard for people to start getting, get bullish after all this terrible news and FUD and, just literally a year and a half of just straight downtrend. But historically speaking, these are the signs that we look for, right? Above the 300, 200, and we had this death cross. Now, eventually, we are going to have this, yellow moving average move back above, and that's going to signal to us that the bull run is on. But just remember that these are lagging indicators. So generally speaking, by the time that happens, it's probably too late, right? So if you're looking to position yourself, you want to kind of front run that a little bit. Now, of course, I have talked about still coming down to this level. I do believe we have the possibility of touching around that $25,300 level still. We can come down here and retest that. And again, there's a lot of indicators right now that are showing us that, yes, we did have a lot of good opportunities right here for the long, right here. Again, we had, a lot of them, but right now, you have a double bottom. And that's usually, the bullish setup. And right now, you're seeing almost like a double top on the wave edge. And you're seeing very oversold here on the market ciphers. So again, if you guys want to get those, they're below in the description. But right here, you can see that we're putting in a very classic parallel channel, and first the heart line acts as resistance, then it acts as support. We dip below it, we do one test here, two tests here, right? We come up, we have multiple tests up here, and we are on the heart line. So could we go sideways and then come down right here sometime maybe the 3rd week of this month? That would bring us back down to the bottom, and then we would get that $5,300 level. And then after that, I do believe that we would have that bounce to the upside. And then don't forget, that would also give us 1, 2, and then 3 points of contact, right? So that makes an official trend, right? 2 points of contact is a coincidence, 3 points is a trend. At least that's how I was taught. Maybe you feel differently about that, but you can see that both times we had this major downtrend and we retested it. That was basically the beginning of the run. Major downtrend, retested it. That was the beginning of the run. So will this time be different? I don't know, guys, but historically speaking, this is generally when we start to really get out of that Bitcoin winter into the Bitcoin spring and slowly get into the Bitcoin summer, right? Obviously, the S&P, if we have a look at it, kind of looks like it's forming maybe a potential ascending triangle, still putting in higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, right? So I guess if you still think that these assets are coordinated and they're following each other on these risk trajectories, then that's good. Also, Peter Brandt talking about Bitcoin dominance. But what's interesting is we've seen meme coins pumping. Now, again, I just want you guys to be careful because when it comes to meme coins, generally speaking, by the time you and I and everybody else hears about them, they've usually already pumped a lot, and that's the dangerous territory. So yes, you might be able to get a little pump here, a little pump there, but just be scary. Like Sneeko pointed out, actually, one of these addresses got blacklisted. Somebody had bought 2 trillion Pepe for about $25, which was now would have been worth around 2 million. Imagine turning 25 bucks into 2 million. And unfortunately, now they can't sell because of a blacklist thing on the contract. So just be very careful. You don't really know what's going on in the back end of these things. But getting back to today's FOMC meeting, and I'm trying to rapid fire. There's so many things we got to go over. I haven't talked in a few days, so got to get out here. So obviously today, very simple. If they don't raise rates, probably going to see a pump. If they raise 50, you're probably going to see a dump. If they do 25, which is what's expected, then we got to sit and listen to Powell talk and judge how hawkish or dovish, he sounds. Obviously, we have a group of Democrats led by Elizabeth Warren, which are saying that they need to stop and raising rates, halt the rates because it's risking too much damage to the economy, potentially to throw millions of Americans out of work. But, if you really think about it, that's kind of what they want to do. Like, not secret conspiracy stuff, but the Fed kind of needs something to break, right? Unfortunately, in order to then come in and fix it, right? So, I've heard some people say, well, the only reason that they're raising rates is so that when, what hits the fan, then they have something to cut, right? It's just this like cyclical kind of BS cycle. So talking about the situation at hand, which by the way, okay, we heard they tried to spin it on the first 3 banks and say they were crypto related, which they did business with crypto, but crypto's not why they failed. Let's be completely honest. That was spun by the media. First Republic Bank had no exposure to cryptocurrency, so I don't even want to hear it this time around. Now, JP Morgan did come in and, basically bailed them out or actually bought them essentially, ultimately. $170 billion worth of loans, securities, deposits, etc. But what's interesting is the shareholders, the owners of First Republic, lost about $20 billion and will receive $0, even though JP Morgan is buying out the bank. They say this makes the U.S. banking system toxic from an investment standpoint and perspective, and a 2-tier system where the well-connected, like Jamie Dimon and his bank, are protected by the taxpayer, while other banks wipe out the investors. And what's also scary is seeing like guys like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan step in, because essentially this is just wiping out all of these smaller banks. And what is it doing? It's making that circle of bigger banks even tighter and tighter. What's going to happen in 10, 15 years? We only got 3 banks, 4 banks. Is that the kind of system that you want to live in, where 4 banks control the entire system? Maybe it's the kind of system that they want to be in. It's not the kind of system we want to be in. I mean, look at people just hopping out of this. PacWest down 30%, Western Alliance 25%, Metropolitan 21%, Home Street 15%. I can go on. All these banks are down here falling and Bitcoin holding steady. This has to be sending a message. This is obviously something that people are noticing. And by the way, if you think 2008 was bad, look at this comparison by dollars. Now, I understand inflation, so take it with a grain of salt, but this is actually dollar for dollar worse. So now officially than what we were seeing back in 2008. So this could literally be the start of something absolutely huge. And just want to throw this out, coincidence or not, Bitcoin set a new record of daily transactions the same day the US government quietly engineered a bank buyout. But Arthur Hayes has a massively bullish Bitcoin price prediction, and he says that another regional bank is likely going to face liquidity issues in the coming days as the Fed gears up to raise rates. He says, yeah, they might raise it 25, but they still don't get it. Or maybe they do, and they're just hoping and praying that the market is stupid. Doesn't matter either way. A rate hike almost guarantees another non-too-big-to-bank fail is going to bite the dust. The next bank, who knows, maybe they'll have a loan book full of commercial real estate loans that are liquid, but he does predict that the crisis in the banking sector will trigger a macroeconomic turmoil that could springboard Bitcoin to $1 million. But what about the fact that crypto's dead in America, according to Chamath? Well, Kevin O'Leary actually chimed in and gave his opinion.
Well, he's not entirely wrong. It's dead to institutional investors.
Oh, wow.
So I index. We do indexes. I speak to sovereign wealth and pension a lot, and they will not touch crypto until there's regulations. So for all the excitement, Bitcoin is locked in purgatory to set a trade 17 to 35,000 for a long, long time, because it's basically the same people trading it back and forth. And there's no new money coming into it. It's not an institutional product where they get a 5% allocation. There's nowhere to hold it. And so the only narrative continuing on the Hill that I'm supportive of and I'm aware of, all the bills around Bitcoin and NFTs are all stalled out, but not on digital payment systems. That's a bipartisan bill. Senator Lummis, I know Haggerty's people are looking at it. There's others supporting it so that we can get stable coins to do transactions to replace the SWIFT system, the ACH system. Those are really archaic. And they're expensive and they're slow and they're not transparent. So, a stable coin like USDC, if it was regulated, would be more useful. Hopefully in the next couple of years we can get that, but I don't know that either.
So yes, I do believe that the US is in fact falling behind. We were the leaders in innovation, but now you're seeing a lot of this innovation move to other places that want to embrace this new technology. And they are going to end up choking it out, and they are going to end up losing the race. One thing they could do short term is just get this sort of stablecoin regulation going. But at the end of the day, is crypto dead in America? I think it could be stagnant. It could be a little uncertain. I don't think it's dead, because I think once they see how much it's flourishing in all these other places, the US government, if you look historically, they have a very long track record of regulating way too much at first, and then pulling back, right? So just remember that moving forward. And, just talking about, for example, Senator Warren trying to have this anti-crypto bill, essentially building an anti-crypto army. It's not going to work. I mean, look at this. KYC policies for unhosted wallets, digital asset miners, validators, other nodes, third-party transactions, independent network participants, including maximal extractable value servers, come on, this is ridiculous. Where is this data even going to come from? What do you want, Ledger Nano S to report? They don't even have the information. They don't have your private keys, right? So it's just absolutely ridiculous. And you could see Jake Chervinsky, he's a crypto lawyer, by the way. He says this bill would impose a de facto ban on crypto in the USA, criminalizing all sorts of legitimate activity like mining and staking, doing absolutely nothing to combat illicit finance. It's no surprise she's having trouble finding co-sponsors. And you can actually see back here, they've pushed back the bill to reintroduce this crypto bill because they literally can't find people to support it, because people realize how stupid it is. And that's another thing. You have companies like Coinbase in the US actually pushing back to the SEC, saying, no, we want regulation. And they're actually suing them and taking them to court. Now, Kevin O'Leary has an opinion on that as well.
I thought one of the biggest mistakes of recent was Coinbase litigating the SEC. That sounds like a really bad idea. That does not advance the industry in any way. It makes institutional shareholders cringe that they would be shareholders in Coinbase and be litigating their regulator. Very bad political move. And if I were a shareholder of Coinbase, and I'm not, I would let my displeasure known to the board. This is the kind of thing you want to change management for.
Wow.
You want teams to go in and work it out and figure out under what way can we operate under the regulator so that we can attract institutional capital for the day when, maybe a series of 50 tokens and coins are regulated, as they are in Canada, as they are in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Singapore and Zurich. Those regulators say, well, these are the ones you're allowed to trade. These are the ones you're allowed to stake. We don't have any of that here.
But keep in mind, this guy is an investor. He's coming from an investor, a Shark Tank perspective, right? But when you look at what Coinbase is trying to do, at the end of the day, these little guys that are getting hit with these fines, these celebrities, right? They're not going to take them to court. They get hit with a, $100,000 fine. You know what? I don't know if I was right or wrong. Whatever. I'm just going to pay it. Coinbase has the money to fight it. And at some point, somebody has to actually stand up to these guys. Someone has to take them in front of a court, in front of a jury, and ask them the question under oath, yes or no, is Ethereum a security? How do we navigate this space? What are the rules and guidelines, right? It's like, for example, this is actually something my dad was saying. He was like, imagine driving on a road, where there is no speed limit. Right? If there's no speed limit on the road and I decide to go 100 and then a police officer pulls me over and goes, you were speeding. I go, well, there was no speed limit on this road, right? If you told me how fast I could go, then I would know how fast I could go, right? I understand, I get it. Different states and regions have their own max speed limit, but I'm just saying in a hypothetical world, right, where there was no speed limit, right? Then you're just going to pull me over and tell me, oh, you're going too fast. Here's a fine. Well, how fast should I be going? You see what I'm saying? There's no clear guidelines on this. But you know what, though? It's okay because innovation is moving. I mean, as the U.S. crypto cracks down happen here, Hong Kong is extending a warm welcome. Despite the uncertainty, you have 400-year-old German investment bank Berenberg has stated that Bitcoin is set to reclaim the spotlight in the world of crypto and general finance sectors after fading in the wake of the bear market. In fact, they interviewed 32 fintech experts that were asked to give their price prediction for Bitcoin. They said that they're looking at about a $35,500 Bitcoin by the end of this year, and they think that it could reach around $100,000 by 2025, and literally about 297,000 average by around 2030. So, I mean, if you could just stick it out, for another 6-7 years, could be worth it while they, get their act together. And we do have the House Financial Services saying that there is a crypto bill coming within the next few months. The two committees are going to hold a joint public hearing. The lawmakers also claim that the bill could be signed by President Biden in the next 12 months. While it's challenged to legislate something new into existence, the committee plans to announce a bill addressing securities and commodity regimes as well as hard-to-fix issues. So it kind of looks like if they're going to just keep dragging their feet, if Gensler's just going to, keep making us, run around the bush with our, heads cut off, then they're just going to step in and do it anyway. They know it has to be done. And, I don't know if you've seen this clip. It's 2 minutes long. Skip it if you have. But you could see that we have people like Cynthia Lummis. We have people like Mayor Suarez in Miami. We have people like Ted Cruz that truly understand the value of Bitcoin.
Incredibly excited and incredibly bullish on Bitcoin specifically, crypto more broadly, but Bitcoin in particular. I think Bitcoin is clearly the alpha in the crypto sphere, both in terms of coming first and also being clearly the most dominant. I think the analogy of digital gold is powerful. And the insight that led to its creation is still extraordinary. Listen, I'm a Bitcoin investor personally. I have a standing buy order. Every Monday morning I have a buy of Bitcoin that comes in, and I own a little more than 2 Bitcoins. So and every Monday I own a little bit more. And I will say, I bought the dip, which I was quite happy with. But I'm also a long-term investor, so I'm fine with some volatility, and I recognize that there's going to be going ups and they're going to be going down. But 21 million is a number that is a firm number. And I think one of the attractions to Bitcoin, certainly for me, but for many, is as a hedge against inflation. And particularly when you have irresponsible politicians in Washington that spend money like drunken sailors, which is actually not fair to the sailors because at least they're spending their own money, and that print trillions and trillions of dollars. We see inflation all across the country. That was driven by this spending binge that happened the last 2 years in Washington, and it unleashed significant inflation. I think Bitcoin is an important check against that. I think it is also powerful in that it is decentralized, in that it is far less susceptible to government control. Listen, I like Bitcoin for the same reason that the Chinese Communist government doesn't like Bitcoin.
So I guess he says he's only got almost two. I don't know if that's true or not. I would imagine, these politicians probably have some secret stashes, but ultimately that's it for me, guys. Remember, if you do want to go, make sure you use the 10% off code in the description below, or if you're thinking about it later, when you go to checkout, just type in the code ZOMBIE and the 10% will be applied, or if you click the link, it's applied directly. But ultimately, guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. I hope you're having an awesome day. I really am going to try to get more of these videos out. It's just been like a lot of stuff going on in the background. I actually have like some real estate. Like I do other stuff outside of crypto. I know people like, no way, Crypto Zombie has no life outside of crypto. It's only crypto 24/7. No, crypto is definitely my biggest passion of everything. That's why I love making these videos for you guys every single day. It's just been a little bit busy and hectic for me, but really nothing's been going on in the price, right? So that's it for me, guys. Get subscribed if you haven't. If I see anything like major, I will definitely make that update. You're awesome. I love you. Hope you have a great day. If you do want to learn how to trade, it's a little boring right now, but I have a feeling that the volatility is going to be coming back in soon. Check out this tutorial popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.